Man, do I got a story to share in this episode. I'll get to the news later, but first, um, I can only interpret this as an assassination attempt on my life. Um, I'll tell you the story. I'll start from the beginning. So, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, this beautiful woman here started messaging me on social media, saying she's a fan of my work and that, thinks I'm doing a lot of good and I'm so brave and, I was saying all the right things. She was very convincing. She told me that here's the story she gave me. She said her she was raised in the Philippines, and that her father's Filipino and her mother's American. That her parents divorced when she was younger, and that she stayed with her father in the Philippines till he died. And then she moved to America because that's her only family that she has, and now she's wealthy and has a business doing investments with her mother, and that she really wants to support my show. That she's a big, big fan. And this woman was good, man. Like she was slick. Like, look at this. Like, look at the body language. Look at the eyes. Tell me, does this seem authentic? Like, I'm a pretty good judge of reading people, but man, convinced me for a while.
Hey, I just wanted to know that before I end this call, before I take a shower and change my clothes, just want you to know that I love you. So let's see if all right, I love you. I'll go ahead and take a shower now, okay? I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Of course, I'm super paranoid and just another catfish or whatever, but she was really eager to talk face to face, like in a video chat. Most catfish don't do that. And when I saw her like that, and this is not our first conversation, but decided to record that one. Thank God I did. But yeah, so she's coming across and as authentic, and I was buying into it. She's good. I'm gonna when you find out who she really is, because it was all a lie. When you find out who she really is, you'll see how I dodged a bullet. But listen to this voice. Does this sound like this is her faking a Filipino accent?
Hey, it's okay. Um, I just wanted to tell you that the four voice messages that you mentioned or that you sent, I really appreciate it. And I'm really looking forward being with you in the future and having so much fun. And I know there are a lot of romantic things that we can do together, but we need to plan it together. Don't worry, you're always in my mind, and I won't forget about you. I'll be having my dinner too and then take a shower, so and I'm kinda exhausted too, so I'm not sure if I can answer your call if ever you call later tonight. So I hope you enjoy your dinner and have a great day.
You heard her say that she wants to travel. I'll tell you what that's about. So she was saying, yeah, I've been following your work for years. You must be so exhausted having to weed through all of that suffering that you do. And, I'd like to take you on a trip around the world, my treat. So she had actually set a date. We had set a date that I was supposed to go and meet her in New York. Well, I bumped up the schedule. I said, okay, well, I'll meet you in a week. I'll be there next week. And that's when everything fell off the rails and she started to slip up and I got suspicious and started to do some serious digging, and man, what did I find? She's not Filipino, she's Ukrainian. And not just Ukrainian, she's got ties to the Ukrainian military. Check this out, raising money for the Kiev battalion. Speaking of Kiev, you know why she was so slick? She's a doctor, a psychologist, who specializes in behavioral psychology. Putting the pieces together, Do you think if I would have followed schedule and met her in New York, that I would have lived? She was a freaking Ukrainian spy, man. No doubt. Here she is speaking Ukrainian.
Привіт, мене звати Марія, я психолог на платформі Mindly. Я закінчила Київський національний університет імені Тараса Шевченка та веду свою практику з 2022 року.
Oh, here's her Ukrainian passport. She's a doctor in psychology named Maria Halavia. I don't know. I don't speak Ukrainian, so I can't tell you how to pronounce her last name. But it's her. And obviously, she's not Filipino. And she had me. It's very clear that she did the psychological profile before this, because the things she was talking to me about, very family orientated. She told me she wanted to have my kids, man. Very family orientated, very Christian, all this stuff that if you watch my show, you would be able to garner from me, basic personality traits, my moral standing, my values, protect the children, all that kind of stuff, because that's really what I'm all about. But yeah, she had me targeted, and she definitely did. And if I didn't have the skills to be able to do this kind of research and use AI tools to track her down and find out who she really was, just off of images. And what broke it is actually the images that I took from our conversation, the screen captures from the video call. That's what broke it. That's what the AI was able to use and pinpoint. And I'm like, yes, that's her for sure. So that was a full-on assassination attempt on my life. I dodged it by, I dodged a bullet, man. That was, this is dangerous, dangerous work, it seems. But, on to the news, I guess. Life goes on. This is not a job for the faint of heart. And, I know other people that do what I do that, had agents try to set them up, government agents, entrap them. Oh, I'm your biggest fan, blah, 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 blah. What we need is a real revolution, though, blah, 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 blah. Do you got any plans, blah, 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 blah. And, dudes trying to poke, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they get popped. I know a couple people that happened to. Total setup. So I'm a recluse. I very rarely talk to people, but for good reason, apparently. So let's talk about what's happening in the world right now. Now, I know the easiest thing in the world for me to do is to just rage on Trump, right? Like that's the going thing. And I told you in my last episode that, if the genocide starts again, then I'm going 100% against Trump. But it hasn't started. It's still, there's no bombs being dropped on Gaza. The Palestinians, the genocide's coming to an end, and although optics on everything is horrible, but while this is happening, it looks like Trump is actually taking a wrecking ball to what you call the deep state.
This is a revolution, people. America's in the midst of a revolution. What you thought you knew about America, you don't know. If you don't recognize the revolution, you know nothing. If you're going to cite to me a Brookings report written 3 years ago, it only shows your ignorance. I don't want to hear about a Brookings report written 3 years ago. I don't want to hear about a Council for Foreign Relations report that was written 2 years ago. None of that matters. All of those reports were linked to the deep state, to the establishment viewpoint. The establishment is dead. It is being slaughtered in the streets of America as we speak. Things are going to be happening here. They're going to shock all of you. Institutions that you thought were rock solid, that have been around for decades, will disappear overnight. Public figures that once dominated the airwaves with their cockiness and their aggressiveness will be let off in handcuffs for betraying the Constitution of the United States. We are in the midst of a constitutionally driven revolution. And from that comes a complete change in how the United States seeks to interface with the world. Since when has an American president, less than a month into his term, turned to the Pentagon before they've done any national security strategy workup and say, I want you to reduce the budget by 40% in 5 years? Name one president that did that, and you cannot. It has never happened before. Revolution. And if you're not buying into it, you're just going to be sitting back, getting it wrong on everything. You have to look at what the United States is doing through the prism of the revolution that is taking place domestically, and that resonates in a foreign policy fashion. The people that were calling the foreign policy, that were shaping foreign policy, are no longer in power, and the institutions that they used to influence have been dismantled or are being dismantled. USAID, the National Endowment for Democracy, all of this is gone, finished, never to return, permanently destroyed. This isn't just a hiccup.
Now, I know what you're going to say. What about those comments he was saying that he's going to own Gaza and basically ethnically cleanse the Palestinians? Yeah, I'm not down with that, obviously. I'm 100% against the Jew. But what did that accomplish? What did that do? Well, we're going to find out, depending, it might be today, depending on when time I get the show out. It's tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned, because of when I'm shooting this. But 22 Arab nations are now going to take responsibility for Gaza. That they're going to take responsibility and fund and build the Palestinian state. And they would not have done that if it wasn't for Trump's over-the-top statements. And then making a fool out of the King of Jordan. Before he got back to Jordan, he knew they were going to overthrow him if he went along with this shit. And Egypt said, oh, hell no, we're not going to be humiliated like that. And they moved 50,000 tanks to the border. So the entire Arab world was uniting against Israel. And I'll tell you, what the Zionists are saying is that they're terrified that Trump is setting them up.
Angry, resentful, and dead set on making sure its position on the Palestinian question isn't compromised, that's pretty much the mood in Saudi Arabia after Trump's latest bombshell about allegedly planning to ethnically cleanse Gaza of Palestinians. The kingdom's response wasn't some half-hearted diplomatic rebuttal either. It was sharp, unwavering, and downright dismissive of any notion that it might backtrack on its insistence that a Palestinian state must be on the table before any normalization with Israel can happen. Now, Trump, in his usual brash style, was busy boasting about Saudi Arabia's supposed plans to pump over $1 trillion into the US economy when he let slip that, actually, the kingdom had agreed to carry on normalizing ties with Israel without demanding Palestinian statehood. If that was supposed to be a flex, it backfired spectacularly. The Saudi Ministry of Foreign Affairs wasted no time shutting it down, making it clear that the establishment of a Palestinian state remains a firm, unwavering position. And just like that, the statement went viral across the Middle East, reigniting conversations about just how much leverage Saudi Arabia actually has when it comes to the Palestinian cause.
But it is also pushing the Arab states in the region to the point where they cannot help but declare war and fight Israel. This has become the cause célèbre throughout the Islamic world. Right now, Egypt has poured more than 50,000 troops into the Sinai in close proximity to the border with Israel. And I think this is conceivably the last straw. Tomorrow, all of the Arab states will meet in Cairo, and they will discuss their plan to resolve the Gaza crisis. In other words, a plan to rebuild Gaza. And I think it will be presented effectively as an ultimatum to Mr. Netanyahu. Now, it could be that the Israelis decide to strike before they become the targets themselves. They've done that before. But I think they'll find that the Arab states are actually ready for that. And the Arab states will ultimately, if this is rejected, they will fight Israel. And I don't think it will stop there. I think Jordan will be pulled into this unavoidably. I think this will involve Syria, where in southern Syria, all the way up to Damascus, the Israelis have essentially declared a buffer state under their control. This is a provocation to the Turks, and I think the Turks will find it impossible to avoid conflict with Israel. And at the same time, the Iranians and the Egyptians are close, and the Iranians have said that they will stand by Egypt. And obviously, the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, is close to President Sisi. Again, I think you're going to see unity across the region and across the Islamic world.
Now, I'm not backing anybody. I'm not siding with anybody. I'm not cheerleading anybody. I'm a journalist. I provide my analysis of what I think is going on, and if the evidence falls on one side, well, then that's what I share. If it falls on the other side, then that's what I share. But the one thing that you know about me that's very true and that has been consistent in my episodes is this.
I don't like the Jews. I'm guessing that they don't like me too.
Considering the assassination attempt on me. This part, of the show just puts a smile on my face because Ukraine for a long time has been like this.
Прислушаться к ощущениям.
Now, I know what people are going to say. Trump's down with the Jews. And it does look like that. But did you see what he just did to Zelensky? That dude's not going to last longer than a week or two. He's going to be overthrown. NATO is going to be no more. The European Union is going to crumble. And here's a Russian diplomat saying that Ukraine, the leadership over Ukraine, the MPs that run the country, are 80 to 100% of them are hold Israeli passports. They're all Jews. It's Ukraine.
ونحن نعتبر أن أحداث في قطاع غزة في لبنان وضد سوريا وضد العالم العربي بشكل عام مرتبط مباشرة مع أحداث تلك الحرب التي تخوضها روسيا الفيدرالية في أرض أوكرانية مع نفس القوة، لأن إسرائيل من أحد العناصر عناصر قوية شراكتها القوية في حرب في أوكرانيا ضد القوات الروسية. اليوم نحن نعرف جيدا أن الرئيس زيلينسكي رئيس وزراء شميغال ورئيس ووزير الدفاع السابق وحوالي 80 أو بعض الناس يعتبرون 100% من أعضاء البرلمان الأوكراني هم مع جوازات سفر إسرائيلية. لذلك نحن ننظر على ما يجري في 3 اتجاهات: أوكرانيا، قطاع غزة، لبنان، كمشروع الواحد، مشروع توسعي تشمل فكرة بناء الشرق الأوسط الكبير والجديد كما قال كونداليزا رايس. يتحدثون أكثر وأكثر أن هناك استعدادات بين 5 و7 ملايين اليهود من أوروبا من أمريكا مستعدين أن ينتقلوا إلى أوكرانيا، أغنى جمهورية الاتحاد السوفيتي السابقة من حيث الزراعة، من حيث الصناعة، من موارد طبيعية بما فيها مناجم يورانيوم والغاز الترابي والفحم من أحسن أنواع الفحم. لذلك إسرائيل تسعى بناء إسرائيل نمرة 2 في هذا برعة الأرض، ولا شك في روسيا يفهمون هذا.
Now, there is a ton of evidence that shows that Ukraine was supposed to be part of the Greater Israel Project. Right? Like, look at all these. Ukraine was supposed to be big Israel. Everyone knows that. So, if Trump's really down with the Jews, then why isn't he standing with Ukraine? Why is he letting Ukraine fall? Why is he making peace with the Russians?
The Ukraine war is funded and fueled by foreign interests and foreign governments at the Ukrainian people's expense. Zelensky does not care about the Ukrainian people. He only cares about his own people. Since the start of the war, Zelensky shipped out and protected his own people. Between 50 to 75% of Zelensky's people were sent out to safety, and over 15,000 of them going to their homeland in Izzy. Meanwhile, for the Ukrainian people, he declared martial law, and any Ukrainian men between 18 and 60 could not leave the country, but had to go up against the Russians. And then after the war, you know all of Zelensky's people are coming back, and back to a country where they're going to have a lot less indigenous people so that they can try and set up Ukraine as a second Izzy state for Zelensky's people. And search engine that and see how many articles pop up on that. They're not even trying to hide it. Ukraine's prime minister, president, media, most big business owners, they're all the same people. And they're making huge profits on this war while they stay in safety. Being anti-war is not being pro-Putin either. In fact, they're using Russia as an excuse to tear down churches inside of Ukraine. The overall plan is obvious. Many people just don't want to see the truth. The war is sadly unwinnable, guys. They need to end the war and bring back the democracy that was suspended during the war. Vote all these people out and put Ukrainians actually in charge of Ukraine. Ukraine's not for Russians or Zelensky's people, it's for Ukrainians.
No, this isn't really how the conversation went. It's a parody, but I'm sharing it because it's funny.
How the Trump-Zelensky meeting should have gone.
Mr. Reagan.
That was yours. We thought that baggie belonged to Hunter. You know, I think the Secret Service probably still has it somewhere.
I have been stealing the money.
I'm sorry, what's that now?
I must to speak honestly. I steal many of USA dollars to Ukraine. Millions. Some dollars for some oligarchs also. Some for American bureaucrats also.
Well, we know that, but why are you telling me this?
Because, Mr. Trump, if you end war, we cannot steal any more money. We must continue war.
No, the war must end. Your people are dying, Zelensky. They're dying.
But I want to steal more money. What do you want? Fellatio? I can do it.
No, I don't want fellatio. No.
Are you sure? I did for Biden.
Okay, that is what we call oversharing. Look, there's nothing you have that I want. You're not going to convince me to keep this war going. You don't have the cards.
I not play cards.
No, I know you're not literally playing cards. It's a metaphor. It's like I'm playing 4D chess and you're playing checkers.
No, I not play checkers. There is no checkerboard, you see.
Okay, let's try this. I am in the driver's seat, okay? Do you understand that expression?
No, but we are not in car.
No, you're right. We're not in a car. That's true.
Listen, Mr. Trump, I am actor/comedian. I crave attention. Since start of war, I get worshipped by presidents. I'm worshipped by Hollywood. If war ends, no more attention, no more worship. With all due respect, Mr. Trump, this war must last forever.
I tell you what, if you agree to end this war, we will do a remake of Friends, and you can play Ukrainian Chandler Bing. How does that sound?
Oh, I love the Friends. This is favorite show of me. I am such a Monica.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's sign the thing, and then I'll go show you the room where Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky did it.
Oh yes, this is funny because I just say I'm such a Monica. Maybe we will go in a room and you can be Bill Clinton and I will be Monica. Yes?
You know what? Forget the room. Let's just sign the document. Does anyone have a pen? Phil? Where's Phil? I need a pen. Somebody give me a damn pen.
Mr. Reagan.
Oh, war in Ukraine coming to an end. The genocide against the Palestinians already came to an end. They tried to block food, but Trump forced them to deliver it. So it's showing you with actions, not words, deeds on what is happening. These are deeds. You can see it. Now, if you're just paying attention to the hype and, I think Trump is doing this on purpose. I think he literally, like the Epstein debacle and all of that, it's all psyop. He needs us anti-Semites, I guess, right, to rage against them. Because it throws the Jews off. They don't know what side he's on. They don't understand what's going on. And meanwhile, while all of that is happening, like I don't want to talk too much about Ukraine anymore. I'm very soon I won't have to talk to him about it ever again. I did my first year covering Ukraine and all the horrible things that happened, and that's going to be done. I haven't watched a single child burning alive in the last, 3 weeks, is it? Since Trump, or whatever, since Trump came to power. The ceasefire's held since then. So, hey, man, I'm seeing positive things. And while all of this distraction is going on, the very big stuff is coming up. Like, huge. For one, Trump is already auditing the IRS. But the big one, the very big one, is the Fort Knox. They're going to check if the gold's there. It's not. So what does that lead? That leads to Doge and the AI that Musk is using getting plugged in to the Federal Reserve. Human trafficking, every corruption has all gone through that. Can you imagine what's going to be exposed? So this is the distraction, all the crap that everybody on alternative media, on the real media, gets all sucked up in and believes everything they see and rages and stuff like that. I don't do reaction videos. You know, I don't, something comes out and then you see me just running my mouth and pretend. I don't do that, man. I try to provide analysis, and what I'm seeing is some pretty encouraging things. And you know, if you don't want to accept that, that's fine. You're welcome to your opinion, man. It's not going to change anything that's happening on the ground, but you're welcome to. You know, hey, you want to blow up the comments railing on Trump? Go ahead, man. I don't care anymore. But look at the things that are happening, really happening.
Do you think that all the gold is in Fort Knox?
Do I think all the gold is in Fort Knox?
Yes.
Are you a fucking conspiracy theorist?
Yes. Yes.
What are you doing? The real threat here is to the bureaucracy. So, like, you probably saw, like, you know, let's say, like, Trump as a threat to our democracy, which is ironic since he was elected with the majority of the, you know, popular vote. They started saying I was a threat to democracy. But if you just replace threat to democracy with threat to bureaucracy, it makes total sense.
Right.
So, I mean, the reality is that our elected officials have very little power relative to the bureaucracy until Doge. So Doge is a threat to the bureaucracy. It's the first threat to the bureaucracy. Normally the bureaucracy eats revolutions for breakfast. This is the first time that they're not, that the revolution might actually succeed, that we could restore power to the people instead of power to the bureaucracy.
Let's look at another staple of the Jews being destroyed. Everyone is aware of white replacement. We're seeing it in all white majority countries, everywhere, throughout Europe, Canada, the United States, New Zealand, Australia. Every white majority nation is being flooded everywhere. And, you know, everyone knows it's the Jews doing that. That's one of their staples. Now, J.D. Vance, who I myself thought was a raging Zionist, down with the Jews, but then he walks into Europe in front, and basically this is in front of the EU at a big security meeting, and he just destroys them. He destroys white replacement. Check this out.
I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time high. It's a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone, and of course it's gotten much higher since. And we know the situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's the result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. We saw the horrors wrought by these decisions yesterday in this very city. And of course, I can't bring it up again without thinking about the terrible victims who had a beautiful winter day in Munich ruined. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and will remain with them. But why did this happen in the first place? It's a terrible story, but it's one we've heard way too many times in Europe and unfortunately too many times in the United States as well. An asylum seeker often a young man in his mid-20s, already known to police, rams a car into a crowd and shatters a community. How many times must we suffer these appalling setbacks before we change course and take our shared civilization in a new direction? No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants.
Then he goes on to really nail them for, all their censorship and their totalitarianism, and that they are the greatest threat to freedom and democracy. These are not the words of someone that's down with the Jews. I'm sorry, it's just not.
But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine, and we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense, the threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America.
Oh, here's a big one, right? The Epstein debacle. For one, I don't want to see documents. I want to see arrests. But let's look at what happened. Okay, everyone is expecting Pam Bondi to come out and Kash Patel to come out on day one, right? Well, that didn't happen. But what did happen is a lot of normies are really asking questions and connecting the dots, and it's becoming obvious. And, this is part of the Great Awakening, man. Like, I don't think a lot of these people were anti-Jew, right? But they're becoming anti-Jew.
So the flight logs have been released again. I can go into my Google photos from 4 years ago and give you those exact things. Nothing new. And the reason why I'm like, show us now, is what's there to review? If there's full transparency, you get them, you start putting them online, and you upload all of it. What is so sensitive that the United States people cannot be told that who is on that client list? We deserve to know every name, nothing redacted. This is child rape, okay? This is the most heinous crimes where children are being killed, sold, and bought like a commodity. They're being locked in cages. They are born to literally get raped from the time of infancy on up to whenever they're executed. And my blood boils to think that there's any hesitation in releasing the full entire documents right now. They get handed to you, you start, boom, putting them out there, putting them out there, putting them out there. Protect no one. This is sick, and I want them now. And I demand that we have them now. There should be no slow rolling, I need to read and look at what is there to read. Are you covering for somebody? Is somebody like, what's going on? And if you can't find the FBI's hard drives that they coincidentally lost during the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, you can go ask Mossad, the intelligence agency that was performing the blackmail operation in our country. Dan Bongino. Oh, I just don't know what Middle Eastern countries. Oh, what is Saudi Arabia? We let the Saudi Arabian Foreign Intelligence Agency come operate in America? Oh, really? Well, let me see. It was the Afghani. We let the Taliban do foreign intelligence operations in our country willfully. Oh, yeah. No, it was the Egyptians. The Egyptian intelligence agency came into the country, huh? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some of y'all are gonna like you literally will trade Jesus for these people in a heartbeat, as you have. You would rather hold on and worship and idolize these people and say they've done no wrong when you know who it is. Matt Gaetz, come on the Benny Johnson show. Come on. Benny Johnson, who do you think, what intelligence agency do we just let inside of our country willfully? Come on, guys. Such great investigators out there, but you just can't. 2 + 2, geez, we just equals X, man. What's X? 2 + 2 = X. Oh my gosh, you guys are over here itching. Get to the freaking 4, okay? 4. It's 4. Okay, 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, there. Are you happy? Are you happy? Release the baby rapist names. Release their freaking names. We want to know who these baby rapers are that are running our country.
Seriously, people are waking up to the Jews in droves. If you're looking at Twitter and you see, read the comments, any politician, especially America, but the same here in Canada, anytime they say anything shilling for Israel or the Jews, look at the comments. They are flooded, absolutely flooded. People are waking up and they're questioning everything. And the big one, or at least the foundation that that we won World War II, right? The good guys won World War II when the good guys were the National Socialists, Hitler. And people are starting to ask questions. Now, I'm going to play the clip from this guy, Tate, or whatever. That doesn't mean I'm down with Tate or anything like that, but what he's saying is true in this clip, and that's why I'm saying it, So, and he's just one of many that are questioning this, because this is the foundation upon everything. And once the truth about World War II comes out, and that Hitler was the good guy, well, that's going to change everything.
I'm one of the champions of this, even though the hardcore racists on Twitter hate me because they call me mulatto and mixed race and all these things. I don't care. I'm going to champion for it anyway. Only white people are not allowed to love themselves, love their race, and love their countries. Everyone else is. White people are the only ones who could do it. Mm-hmm. If anyone else flies a flag or says we're from wherever, or we're this color, or we're this religion, we want it, it's fine. When white people do it, it's instantly demonized. White people are the only people who are expected to give up their lands. And it's actually quite... And I say this as a half white man, half black man. It's very obvious. It's very obvious for me to see. And the European countries, you could argue that America was founded multiracially. You could argue that. But the British people are a type of people. They're an ethnicity. They're a type of people from one place and one part of the earth. And once they lose it, they have nowhere else to go. That's all they have. And they're being replaced in real time. And their leader, Keir Starmer, is letting it happen. And if you talk about it, you go to jail. All of this is happening right now. And unless the men do something and replace him with somebody who cares, they're going to be replaced. That's the bottom line of it. I can then argue, I can move on to the point that, we all get what we deserve in this life and that the strong destroy the weak. We could argue that point. I could sit here and say, well, white people, if you get replaced, you deserve it because you didn't do anything about it. I could make that argument, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. White people are being replaced in their host nations. That's obvious for me to see. I don't think anyone can argue against that point. People try.
But
people
that's also a fair argument, though.
No, it's a very fair argument, but that upsets people. Or they deny it's happening. But it is happening. White people are going extinct.
Yep.
You are going extinct. And then when you tell people this, they have lots of different answers to it. But nationalism is feared when white people band together. And then, you can argue, this actually ties back into something that's very interesting. The reason they fear nationalism when white people get banded together is because they apply it to World War II. They say, well, white nationalists do what Hitler did because he was a white nationalist. So they say that when white people get together and are nationalistic, it's like the Nazis. When other people get together and they're nationalistic, it's not. Is this actually true? Is this the largest psyop in history? I mean, World War II has had such a profound effect on our culture up until this point now. World War II is the basis for all good and bad in the entire world. If I say to you, name the worst person in history, you'll probably say Hitler. You won't say Stalin, who killed more, because he was on our team.
Or Mao.
Or Mao, who killed more. Now, I'm not sitting here sticking up for Hitler. I'm just saying that World War II has shaped the modern world. And they use it as an emotional trigger to prevent white people from sticking up for themselves. Guess what I saw in the car on the way here? A terror attack in Germany. A car attack. You see it?
Yep, this morning.
A Muslim ran over a bunch of white people in Germany this morning. But the white people in Germany can't band together to fight against it because then they are what?
Racist.
Nazis.
Yep.
Nazis.
Yep, for sure.
So they use World War II. Let me ask you guys a question. If they use World War II to subvert white nationalism to the point of extinction, wouldn't it be truly treasonous if the story of World War II wasn't even true? What if there's another story to World War II? Is it true, the story that we know? The version of events that we know? Hitler's just crazy and he just lost his mind. I'm asking questions because in my world, I understood that victors write the history. Winners write history. Winners are always the good guys. Loser was always the bad guy. Loser had no point of view at all. The winner had all the right thing and they were doing all the right things. So I'm just asking you, if this war is what's shaping the modern world and it is bringing on the ideology which is going to lead to the extinction of the white race, isn't it important we find out if the story we're told is even true? Let me apply this to modern time. If you listen to the media and the story they tell you, Putin's crazy. Putin's nuts. And he's lost his mind, and he has no point of view at all, and he has no reason to invade Ukraine. There's no possible reason. If you research, you'll understand he actually has a pretty good argument. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm saying that he has his beliefs. We have our beliefs, some right, some wrong. There's no such thing as black and white. There are different varying shades of gray in every single conflict. But the Hitler story, the World War II story, is black-white, because that's how the winners want to write it. And that's how it always goes when the war is over. And the story of Russia-Ukraine is black-white. Ukraine's innocent, we're innocent, Russia's nuts. But if you actually analyze things and understand them really, you'll see it's not that way. So this is a very interesting thought experiment. And that's what I'm doing before the media attacks me. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm not saying anything. This is a thought experiment. If one particular ideology is shaping society to the point where an entire race will go extinct, shouldn't we understand that period of history intimately? Yes or no? I would argue yes. And if that's the case, perhaps when we understand it better, perhaps white people might save themselves. Perhaps.
Everyone that's awake, I'm sure, knows what the JFK documents are going to reveal, what the RFK documents are going to reveal, what the Epstein docs are going to reveal, what the 9/11 docs are going to reveal. It's all going to reveal Israel and the Jews, man. Everyone knows that. So there is some weird psyop going on here. You know, like when Elon Musk gave the Roman, you know, that was one thing that could be, you know, chalk that off. But check this out. This cannot be just entirely organic and natural. There's got to be some kind of psyop element here.
You're going to do a Sig Heil? You're going to do a Hail Hitler? You're going to do a Sig Heil? You're going to do a Hail Hitler? You're going to do a Sig Heil?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're going to do a Hail Hitler?
Oh, I think this clip I'm going to share here, I actually got this from Russian social media. This is what the Russians themselves are putting out there. You tell me what you think it means. Seems like everybody, literally everybody, is waking up to the Jew and to what happened in World War II. Now, here's Colonel Douglas McGregor. You know, I use his clips all the time. I respect this man's viewpoint. Doesn't mean I agree with everything he says, because he's pro-Israel and I am not. But here he is saying the truth, or at least a big portion of the truth, about World War II.
The Germans, remember, have been on the national apology tour for 80 years, apologizing to everyone in sight for all the terrible, evil things they did and for, quote unquote, starting the Second World War. The truth is, the Germans did not start the Second World War. Everything that happened in Germany was a reaction to communism, Bolshevism in Russia, the emergence of Stalin's Russia, and the fear of communism and the mass murder programs in the Soviet Union in the interwar years. The Germans, and they're not the only ones, virtually all the Europeans were horrified by it. But, you know, this is the phony narrative that was created, that this happened exclusively in a vacuum, that Hitler woke up and decided to start a world war. So that's all misleading and fundamentally wrong.
Now, this following clip here is from a guy on Twitter. It goes by Draco. Again, you know, I don't agree with anybody, everything that somebody says. If I share one clip, that doesn't mean that every other thing that they have ever said I'm down with, because that's just not the case. But he's sharing something here that I didn't know. I found it relevant and interesting. George Lincoln Rockwell, the American Nazi, and Malcolm X. So basically, black nationalists and white nationalists came together, united against the Jew. History that we're not aware of.
In 1961, George Lincoln Rockwell and 10 members of the American Nazi Party attended a black nationalist, black separatist Nation of Islam meeting where Malcolm X was giving a speech. George Lincoln Rockwell and Malcolm X were both working together to establish mutual segregation. They both believed that Jews were enforcing forced integration, cultural Marxism, communism, and cultural decay. George Lincoln Rockwell believed that the Jews were at the forefront of a global conspiracy to subvert the white race, and Malcolm X believed that the Jews were utilizing the black race as a means to get their own gains and keep them dependent on the Jewish power. And I guess they weren't wrong, because here's a list of all the names, prominent Jewish figures involved in the civil rights and counterculture movement. Even Stanley Levison was an MLK advisor and wrote a majority of his speeches. In fact, 50% of the so-called whites that participated in the civil rights movement were actually Jewish. And guess who coined the term melting pot? That's right, a Jew. I mean, look at the ugly mug on this man. No wonder he wanted us all to melt together. How are you going to come into America as a 2% of the demographic and tell whites and blacks what they can or cannot do? How are you going to tell us that this is a melting pot when you have a whole ethno-state? And here's a little bonus. Nazis used to be a big thing in America. Here's a 1939 Madison Square Nazi rally with George Washington propped up next to some swastikas. But seriously, did they really think they were going to teach us in their indoctrination camps, aka K-12 education, that whites are just colonizers, that whites and blacks ought to live together in this so-called melting pot, and that racism is bad? Meanwhile, they have a whole ethno-state where they believe they are God's chosen, that the rest of us, black, white, or Christian alike, are all just goyim, cattle, and that we were born to serve them, that they were born to rule the world. And you can call me a Nazi or an anti-Semite or whatever you wish, but how are you going to defend the fact that a white and a black separatist got together to unite against the Jew, to enforce mutual segregation, and to establish black and white ethno-states? And within a few years of the victory of the civil rights movement led by Jews, both of these individuals, George Lincoln Rockwell and Malcolm X, were assassinated. And the Jews have been ruling our world ever since, meanwhile having their own ethno-state, calling themselves God's chosen. Oh, and don't forget that a majority of Jews practice the Talmud, and the Talmud teaches that Jesus Christ is boiling in a pile of his own feces in hell and his mother Mary's a whore. This is our so-called greatest ally.
I always try to put a song in these, you know, because it makes me smile. This one is Break the Jew Taboo. I think it's funny.
That means the Jews, cause that's who they is, mama. Just say the Jews, don't call them neocons, mama. Just say the Jews, just say the Jews, mom. Just say the Jews, break the Jew taboo, boys. Let's break the Jew taboo. Just say the word, boys, break the Jew taboo. To break the Jew taboo, boys, break the Jew taboo. Just say the Jews, boys, break the Jew taboo. When they say donor class, Papa, that means the Jews, cause that's who they is, pops. Just say the Jews, don't say the donor class, papa. Just say the Jews. Just say the Jews, papa. Just say the Jews. Break the Jew taboo, boys. Let's break the Jew taboo. Just say the word, boys. Break the Jew taboo. Break the Jew taboo, boys. Break the Jew taboo. Just say the Jews, boys. Break the Jew taboo. Sister, that means the Jews, cause that's who they is, sis. Just say the Jews, don't talk about Wall Street, sister. Just say the Jews. Just say the Jews, sister. Just say the Jews. Break the Jew taboo, boys. Let's break the Jew taboo. Just say the word, boys. Break the Jew taboo. Break the Jew taboo, boys. Break the Jew taboo. Just say the Jews, boys. Break the Jew taboo. Zionists, mama, that means the Jews, cause that's who they is, mama. Just say the Jews, don't mince your words, mama. Just say the Jews. Just say the Jews, mama. Just say the Jews. Break the Jew taboo, boys. Let's break the Jew taboo. Just say the word, boys. Break the Jew taboo. Break the Jew taboo, boys. Break the Jew taboo. Just say the Jews, boys, break the Jew taboo. When you hear Israelis, mama, that means the Jews, cause that's who they is, mama. Just say the Jews, don't say Israelis, mama. Just say the Jews. Just say the Jews, mama. Just say the Jews. Break the Jew taboo, boys, let's break the Jew taboo. Just say the word, boys, break the Jew taboo. Break the Jew taboo, boys, break the Jew taboo. Just say the Jews, boys, break the Jew taboo. Well, when you hear Hollywood, honey, that means the Jews, cause that's who they is, darling. Just say the Jews. You see that Hollywood, honey, is culture Jews. Say, just say the Jews, darling. Just say the Jews. Feel so free now. Hot dang, it's okay, mama. You can say it, just say the Jews. Here, it's alright, papa. You can say it too. It's the Jews. See, it's the Jews.
Well, that's all I got for you today, Patriots. I'm going to say, I talk about a few things, though, before I sign off here, though. Some important things. But first, I'm viewer-supported. That's how I'm able to do this, And I'm literally risking being thrown in prison for anti-Semitism. This is Canada. It's tyrannical. Okay, one more clip just to show that, this is Canada and, the dangers that I'm facing.
I'm going to be arrested for social media posts criticizing Israel and specifically criticizing a genocidaire, Dalia Kurtz, who wants to see more Palestinian blood spilled. And after I publicized the fact that I was being charged for social media posts criticizing Israel, the police have responded by saying I'm harassing the police. So initially, I'm supposedly harassing a genocidaire for social media posts criticizing Israel. And then when I write about the fact that I'm being charged for criticizing Israel, the police are now saying they feel harassed. And a police investigator has actually brought in 4 different charges of harassment, intimidation, entrave, I guess interference, against me on the grounds that I wrote about the fact that I was being charged for social media posts criticizing Israel. And this is, I think, a pretty flagrant abuse of the state authority on behalf of those promoting Israel's crimes.
Yeah, isn't that lovely? So let's look at the dangers I'm facing here. I got the government, and that dude was just an anti-Zionist, anti-genocide. I am a full-on, at least I think I'm becoming a full-on fucking Nazi, man. So, yeah. But on top of that, right, I got the government. I got Jews, if they ever find out who I am, I'm sure they'll try to destroy my bank account and everything else and, do all of their douchebaggery. I got Ukraine sending freaking assassins, beautiful assassins, but assassins nonetheless, trying to kill me. I'm taking a lot of risk to do these, but I'm still doing them. If you want to, participate, here's the magical link. GiveSendGo.com/SonOfEnos. It's in the description. Click the button and you'll see the description, and you can click the link and donate to my channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Share, it's the burden that I'm willing to take, and if you share in the glory of this, I guess, by contributing, then you're making a difference too. I'm taking the risk, but hey, I'm willing to do that. So a couple of things I'd like to talk about, though, because this is going to come up really fast. This is just me and my perception or gut feeling or whatever. I think that in the next few days, maybe soon, because the thing between Trump and Canada is coming to a head, and Doug Ford, the despotic Premier of Ontario, is threatening to cut off electricity to the United States. That's going to go over really well, I'm sure. So here's my intuition. What I think might happen. What if, with the support of Trump and the American, might of the American, military or whatever it is, what if Trump tries to spark a convoy 2.0? If that happens, I bet you any money that the government will topple before we get there this time. Sure as heck, they're not going to be rolling out the goons to come get us this time, not with the backing of America, just not going to happen. So we'll see how this plays out, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm also predicting that very soon we're going to have a comprehensive peace agreement in the Middle East and in Ukraine, obviously, that Iran is going to, Iran won't negotiate with the United States, but they don't have to, because Russia is, and Russia's going to give security guarantees and say, hey, we'll put our people in their nuclear power plant, we'll run it for them, so there's not going to be any nuclear weapons. We don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon. And that will remove the threat of any kind of combat between Iran and the United States, because Trump made it very clear his red line is nuclear weapons. So once that's removed, then, there's no threat of war with Iran. So and that would absolutely destroy Israel too. In fact, they go into stage 2 of this ceasefire, which is coming up very soon. They're really procrastinating, but that'll topple the Netanyahu government. So, man, everything does seem to be shaping up in a good way. That to me is encouraging. Also, one more thing. If Maria, the spy, Ukrainian spy, or whatever, if you happen to watch this, you know what? If you ever want to become a whistleblower and come on my show, I'll gladly give you a platform to do that. And, you could tell them about the hit that was put on me and, lay out all the dirt. It's a sinking ship. Why would you want to go down with it? So if that's what you want to do, I'll give you the opportunity, because, hey, I'm a big boy and I don't have hard feelings or shit like that, whatever. Yeah, you tried to kill me, but it would be an awesome story, and I'm a journalist, and, you got to tell the story. So there's that. Anyhow, till next time, we are the Nooz now. Peace.